clear is that's where, you know, the rub is that I think we envisioned, and in my opinion, we've always envisioned that we want private development dollars, you know, chugging part of this, because that's where the jobs are. They pay more than service jobs, and respectfully, a lot of the vendors, you know, just barely eke out an income, and service jobs generally pay minimum wage, and all of this.
I think that's a great segue to the San Francisco Ferry Building,
okay. Thank you.
Where which we don't plan to replicate it here, but it's a great model to look at, and if you haven't been to San Francisco and seen the Ferry Building, I'd encourage you to do so. The Ferry Building is on the waterfront, obviously, because it's a ferry building in San Francisco, and for much of its existence, and during a period where it was a declining building, it was blocked from the rest of the city by the elevated Embarcadero Freeway, which, because of the earthquake in 1989 and the decision by the city of San Francisco to tear down the elevated freeway, which had been damaged beyond repair on the freeway, and make public realm improvements and transit improvements along the Embarcadero, which includes a streetcar line. It really has enabled the Ferry Building to flourish. Initially, the Ferry Building was, when the Port of San Francisco was looking to redevelop it when the freeway was still standing, they entered into some long-term leases that ended up serving as albatrosses to pushing it forward. Eventually, a farmer's market was invited in, and in the early 1990s, the city started planning and the port started planning in earnest for the redevelopment of the Ferry Building, which was a privately led redevelopment effort, and a privately led redevelopment effort that established a marketplace on the ground floor, sort of a private but very local marketplace on the ground floor, and premium office space on the upper floors. The farmer's market was not just allowed but encouraged to continue to coexist and provides a degree of programming that makes the marketplace work. The Ferry Building was opened in 2003. I think within 3 years of opening was the number in the top 5 tourist attractions for San Francisco. The usage of the Ferry Building is about
30% of the people who come to the Ferry Building come into the Ferry Building because of the farmers market. But another 50% are tourists, and the remaining 20% are the local community. So again, that's, you know, for every 3 people that are coming into the building because they're going to the farmers market, there are 7 people that are walking through the farmers market because they're going to the building.
And transit's an important part of what the Ferry Building is about, but it's not the dominant part of what it's about. They've managed to bring the program inside. The transit services have almost the equivalent of marketplace stalls to sell their tickets, and it works very well. It works very well for the transit riders. It works very well for the overall community, and it's had a catalytic effect on the waterfront of San Francisco. That's now the San Francisco waterfront is the top rent office district in San Francisco. So some of the lessons that we learned from all this was that historic rehabilitation, like what's going on now at Union Depot, can be promoted for value, that a mix of local uses is very important and can help to enhance the whole, both for the functioning of Union Depot as a public-private real estate locale and for the city as a whole. That programming including things like the farmers market, including arts-related events, community events, and the like, can help to drive civic vibrancy, but also drives up retail demand. Getting phase 1 right is something that can help to create value for future phases. And thinking about interim uses, and we think in particular, making sure that the program that's defined for Union Depot provides flexibility to respond to market needs over the lifetime. So while we say that from our market study now that there isn't a particular demand for office space or an innate demand for office space in the area, it shouldn't be ruled out as a future use either in the building or around the depot. So our recommended framework, and here we are getting to the actual recommendations of why we're here. The goals are to provide a vibrant station environment, a sustainable revenue stream, very broadly put, economic development for the community and for Ramsey County as a whole, and growth that's distinct to Ramsey County that really is bringing out the best of the local flavor. Some of the strategies that we recommend to do that.
Commissioner Reinhardt.
And I really appreciate the goal here that says growth distinct to Ramsey County, because in some of the previous slides, you've really just zeroed in on the city of St. Paul.
Right.
And I think that's not accurate. Because of what we're trying to do here, I mean, it really is the entire county and the region, quite frankly.
Right.
But I think that it's important to note, because it is our project. It's located in the city of St. Paul, and we're partnering, obviously, with the city of St. Paul and the private sector and a number of others within the community to make this happen. But I think we of all people really need to be careful that it's understood, because we know it's true that this is a county project.
So the strategies that we recommend are making sure that the development strategy needs to be complementary to transit and help to induce demand. So our goal is to help you to exceed that 4 million riders that are projected in the future by creating a constituency for the depot that will convert people to being transit riders. Tap into the diversifying local demographics in the area and make sure that this is something for all residents of Ramsey County, all residents of St. Paul, will complement local businesses, and this is particularly important. Lower Town is growing in a unique way, and we believe that a program can be established that, while looking a lot like what is going on elsewhere in Lower Town, so we're recommending a marketplace and there's a farmer's market, that it's something that's complementary and actually helps to create the critical mass that establishes Lower Town as a specific place within the region that people think of as being a marketplace and entertainment district. And that will help it to attract regional demand and to leverage the historic building and make it uniquely local. So the recommendation, as I said, is to have a diverse local retail marketplace, provide frequent public programming, and the images here show images from the ferry building, from the food halls at Grand Central, for the retail marketplace. Grand Central Terminal, when it was renovated in the 1990s, also had an internal person at the MTA, but had external consultants that really helped to establish a local presence. So unlike Union Station in Washington, D.C., which has a lot of national chains in it, Grand Central, the marketplace and the food halls there are actually driven by the local community, and it works very well. Public programming, there already is very robust public programming going on around Mears Park. The front lawn of the depot provides a unique opportunity to expand that programming. We have an image here from Grand Central which shows, which may or may not be the appropriate use here, but you certainly have the space for it. They host an international squash tournament in one of the largest.
See that squash? I thought that was a cage wrestling match.
Yeah, it could be cage wrestling. But it's cage wrestling. But this is the front hall of Grand Central, which is
Extreme sports, right?
right, probably the densest, busiest space in New York, and they host an international squash tournament in the front hall. It's one of many public programming ideas that they have. And then we also think that there's the opportunity for this to be a flexible event venue. We would not want to see the depot become known as just being a banquet hall and have the banquet hall serve as an impediment to public access. But we think that there are ways, the ferry terminal does this, Grand Central does it, to actually have it be an event venue that can accommodate both public events and private events while still serving its purpose as being fundamentally a public building and a transit center. So conceptually...
I have a question from Janice.
I'm just going to go back to what Commissioner Bennett said earlier and a statement you made when you talked to the Bulldog folks and all of this, the BARB folks, is we've got the Wild, we have lots of things. When we did the connection, which is an underground connection over to the XL, and the River Center is, we had an increase of like 40,000 instantly coming to quote-unquote downtown St. Paul, Ramsey County. And one of the entrepreneurs up and down West 7th,
Right.
they did the shuttle, to basically say, and actually out in the neighborhood I represent, like at Gabe's or someplace like this, they have a shuttle from Gabe's, you then tootle down to the Wild or things like this. Is that part of the programming that you went into here, of trying to get some of the folks to come down and stay at the depot, not stay at the depot, but use the entertainment or the restaurants or the venues in that area that would complement and get them back down to the Wild game or a concert and things like that? Is that part of the programming you're talking?
We think that's one potential element of the market.
So was that included in your concepts?
Yes. In addition, it's downtown workers, and we think that there's actually opportunity for Lower Town in and of itself to become more of a regional destination. I think it's already starting to become a regional destination. I think Heartland was voted the #1 restaurant in the region recently, and it just opened, and it seems to be creating a lot of a buzz that's still, in the grand scheme of things, somewhat of an underground scene rather than being what it could be in the way that a lot of other entertainment districts are.
And to your point in specific, I think that's a lot about the programming and what permanent tenants go in there. Are there bars and restaurants that people want to go to before the game or after the game? But also, maybe the Wild helps with some programming. Maybe there's a pep rally for the Wild game at Union Depot, and then there's a shuttle. I think that's all part of something that needs to be a robust programming strategy, so that there are lots of events in the depot constantly, because you have such a wonderful facility that has the capacity for them.
So the building program, and if I move, no, the mouse doesn't really show itself on here. So the recommendation is that the front plaza would serve for, oh, there it goes, thank you. Front plaza would serve for some flexible programming and temporary space. There's not going to be any permanent development there. I think that due to historic preservation issues, there couldn't be. But particularly during the better weather months and even during winter, the front plaza can serve as programming space. The Great Hall can serve, as it does now, as an event venue, but more importantly, create what we call a living room space for Lower Town that would be surrounded at its perimeter by tenant spaces that would be complementary to marketplace development. And as you get into the building, particularly in the concourse and waiting room, you'd be providing a mix of transit amenities, public programming, and a vibrant transit marketplace, vibrant public marketplace, all surrounded by the transit infrastructure and transit services that's this building's reason for being.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Commissioner Carter.
Event venue and living room sound to be opposite concepts. How do they work together?
I mean, I think it's a flexible space, right? So there are certainly, I know the Guthrie serves as a living room in many ways, and it's also a theater. And you can go there and people hang out there both during and not during shows. But certainly, I think there will be time limits on an event space, when an event can be there. And one of the specifics that needs to be worked out is what rights does an event producer have to producing events in the Great Hall? What space is delimited for them? How do transit riders move through? If you have an Amtrak train coming in at 10:30 at night, how do you allow those passengers to go through a potential wedding within the depot? I think those are specifics that can be worked out and have been worked out during the party. I mean, in Grand Central Terminal, Vanderbilt Hall is very much Vanderbilt Hall,
which is the front door. It's the equivalent to
the Great Hall.
To the Great Hall.
And it is the equivalent to the Great Hall. It's where they have the squash. They have private events there, and there are hundreds of thousands of people who go through those private events.
Living room just feels like the kind of space that people can sit in, wait in, visit in, and then the event venue sounds like a very busy. I do understand the transit piece, people moving through and around particular events. But it sounds like you're talking about portability then in that, or portableness.
It's portableness, and it's thinking really about the time dimension that during most of the time, this is the kind of thing, this is the kind of space that will be the place where people can go and sit and hang out, and in some ways it could be an indoor civic space.